Okay, Mr. Chairman, the meeting is live. Please proceed.
Good evening, 2021 Historic Preservation Commission meeting. I would like to call this meeting to order at 6:35 p.m. Secretary Henderson, can you please read the notice of compliance?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. The notice requirements provided for in the Open Public Meetings Act have been satisfied. Notice of this meeting was properly given and published in the North Jersey Herald and News on August 7, 2020, and filed with the clerk of the City of Paterson on July 31, 2020, and posted in the Paterson City Hall immediately thereafter.
Thank you, Tim. Can you please give us the roll call?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Commissioner DeLeese.
Present.
Commissioner Garcia Leon.
Here.
Commissioner Ahmed.
Here.
Commissioner Corbo.
Present.
Commissioner Redmond. Commissioner Rafael.
Present.
Commissioner Simpson. Commissioner Walter.
Present.
Chair Tate. Mr. Chairman, we have a quorum.
Thank you. At this point, I'd like to move to the approval of the meeting minutes for May 24, 2021. Do we have a motion?
So moved. Seconded.
Okay, so did we have Garcia Leon with the motion, and then Commissioner Corbo with the second? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Secretary, did you record that?
Correct, Mr. Chairman. I'll call the roll.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner DeLeese.
Yes.
Commissioner Garcia Leon.
Yes.
Commissioner Ahmed.
Yes.
Commissioner Redmond. Or Commissioner Corbo, excuse me.
Yes.
Commissioner Vice Chair.
Yes.
Commissioner Simpson.
Yes.
Commissioner Walter.
Yes.
Chair Tate.
Yes.
You skipped me.
Oh, excuse me, Commissioner Redmond. Commissioner Redmond.
I'm abstaining from this motion.
Thank you, Commissioner. Apologize for that. Mr. Chairman, motion carries.
Thank you very much. At this time, to item number 7 on our agenda, which is new business. Sub-item, which is 5-547 Park Avenue /284 Wall Ave in the East Side Park Historic District. This is a design review application to replace failed faux stone veneer, and the application was previously heard on September 21st, 2020.
Chairman, this is Commissioner Walter.
Yes.
I'd like to recuse myself from this discussion since that our house is directly across the street from me.
Confirmed. Thank you. Director, do you have a report for this particular application?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'd be happy to give you the report.
Thank you very much.
Okay, good evening, Commissioners. As the agenda notes, the design review application for the replacement of failed stone veneer on the building at Wall Avenue, or 284 Wall Avenue, 545 Park Avenue, was brought to the Commission about a year ago, just under a year ago, in September of 2020. We heard the owner applicant's testimony regarding the conditions that were present at the time, and we proceeded with the design review application from there. I'd like to show some photos and the COA that was issued as a result of the Commissioner's resolution on conditional approval, certificate of appropriateness that was issued for this application last year. These items were distributed to you in the pre-meeting packet as well. If you had the opportunity to take a look at them, you'll notice the date here on the document on screen is November 2020, and we noted here that of course the application was first brought in September 2020, and here are the requisite conditions that are noted in the COA. So the existing cast stone veneer that was on the front elevation, had failed due to, sorry, I have to move this box so you can see the whole thing, due to water infiltration, and it shall be removed. The split face Tuscany beige travertine stone veneer submitted to the executive director for review in September is approved to replace the failed veneer. We had received samples, and the samples were presented in photos during the application report last time around. So there are some stipulations about the veneer units, talking about the units being adhered to the facade of the building, and the mortar joint spacing needed also to be observed. And moving on to the next page, the final condition about the mortar joints shall be pointed using premix mortar tinted to match the coloring of the stone. So you can see the very short list of conditions considering some of the other applications that we do with conditions, and that's why I took a moment to just go through them so we're familiar with them as we're looking at the photos. I'd like to switch over to share with you some photos. Just bear with me while I share this. We may have to use my sharing. Let's see. Does everyone see a photo on screen? Can someone tell me if you see a photo on screen?
I don't believe it's loaded yet. It's a gray screen at the moment.
Okay, because I'm trying to bring up that application. Okay. Taking a little time. Yeah, I'm not having success at the moment. I'm going back and forth between some screens. Give me a moment to start again with sharing. Okay, can you tell me if you see this?
Yes, it's on the screen now.
Okay, I'll try to make it as large as I can. All right, this is a view, this is a corner lot for the building, and this is a view of the building this is the side of the building. You can see there's a porch, front porch on the side of this building, the east side of the building. And the street at the foreground is actually Park Avenue, and Wall Avenue is off-screen just to the right. I wanted to point out in this photo, so you can see the old stone veneer below the windowsills on the front porch. The rest of the side and the rear of the building were left without stone veneer originally. And the original finish of the building, which is a stucco finish appropriate for this style of architecture, is visible. Okay, I think it's the next photo. Here's a photo of the front facade of the building, showing two side porches. The driveway side, as you can see in my cursor, is where this tree is, and the garage, the detached garage. And you can see the front porch I pointed out to you here on the left side. This is a view of the building after the veneer stone was completely removed, making the surface ready for the application of new veneer stone. It's going a little bit crazy blowing up right now. I just wanted to give you a sense of some of the conditions here that were present. So this is the prep for receiving the new stone veneer that was approved at the design review. I'm going to try to find the couple of other appropriate pictures. They're not all in order, but that's you guys, if I can just take them in order. Yeah, so here's another view of the same conditions that I mentioned. Looking now at a kind of three-quarter angle from the Wall Avenue perspective, the driveway side being on the right side of the photo, and the smaller sort of addition on the building is visible. And as you'll see right underneath the bay window to the about center screen is a small piece of a mock-up that we requested be placed with the stone and to demonstrate the mortar choices. Here's a close-up of that same area. This is to show the placement of the stone, but there's no mortar, and the size of the joints, but there's no mortar in this particular photo. Here's a close-up of the same. The spacing of the mortar joints was proved here. The application of the stone was good to go. Then, we needed to see the mortar in place. And I think I need to go probably backward in my presentation to show you that. Because the samples are sort of more toward the beginning of the presentation. Yeah, so here is a close-up of showing the mortar that was installed, and the tooling is very good, the spacing is very good, the color is consistent with what was in the certificate of appropriateness. It was a really nice match to the stone color, by my judgment in the field, which was which was left up to my review as part of the design review resolution that was passed. So we have this, and then finally I'm going to go through back to the end of the presentation. Bear with me while I recycle through these photos. A while went by before Ms. Lewis-Berry started to install the stone. So we had the approvals. This was part of the process before getting the COA issued. So the difference between when the meeting was held and when the COA was issued in terms of time had to do with looking at the mock-ups and looking at taking the photos that I just demonstrated to you. And it was a while before the work actually started. And I had suspected also that it probably took some time to find a contractor and to vet the project with a contractor, and then it got started. And all of the stone was put in place. And I would like to show you a photo of that. Have some good views of that. We're starting again from where we began. This photo here presents the side of the building and the scaffolding on the facade. You remember the sun porch on the east side, and here's the veneer stone installed, including a fascia board that is kind of wrapped in a stucco material and then painted in this kind of red-brown color, or may have been impregnated into the color of the material. But then we have the scaffolding, and we have a good, facade view of the new approved stone in place. And once the stone was in place, of course, the mortar of the stone materials, began. And the mortar of the material began on the driveway side extension of the building. And I'm trying to just get to that view. I think this is probably my closest view. And you can see here that the mortar is a different color. Everything here is coordinated to match this color between the bay windows and here on this, again, fascia board, also that we saw in the other photo on the east side of the sun porch, and then the three small windows also in their moldings and the sill received a treatment of this color with a kind of like a fiberglass mesh that is designed to hold on to the mortar material that was placed over it. And here we see a sill that is still undone. This mortar color on the side of the building has been cleaned up, as opposed to what you see here on the facade of the building, which has not yet been cleaned up. So it looks like the mortar is very sloppy here on the front, but when you compare to the side, when the mason cleans up the mortar, it will have the appropriate appearance. It'll be clean and sharp. Okay, here's a good photo of the side of the building that I was just talking about, and the mortar being cleaned up on one side. And Ms. Berry demonstrated this to me when we did a site visit and we discussed it in the field. The portion of the building on the facade, we call it that, it's just this addition and a small part of the corner of the building going up until the bay was completed. So I'll end with this photo. I think that you can probably see where the idea is going in terms of color scheme, with regard to this reddish brown color. It'll probably be repeated throughout all the window openings on the other bay window, and this mortar choice. So I've informed Ms. Berry that unfortunately I did not have the authority to allow this change in mortar color to continue throughout the rest of the project. And we offered that she come back to the commission and discuss her next steps with you. Meanwhile, I did also distribute communication from the applicant to you prior to the meeting. So I hope you had a chance to look at that as well, and also the COA that we looked at a moment ago. With that said, I'd like to conclude my report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, John Franco, for that comprehensive report. At this time, I'd like to ask the applicant to come forward to be sworn in for your testimony. Can we have Michelle Lewis Berry?
Yes, sir. Present.
Thank you. Maisa, could you swear her in, please?
Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth, Miss Berry?
Yes, ma'am.
And can you give your full name for the record?
My name is Cheryl Louis Berry.
You may proceed.
Ms. Berry, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chairman Mohammed. As Mr. Gianfranco mentioned that we started the process from way up in last year around April 2020, and we finally came to some agreement in November 20. I was looking for contractors, and even to get this signed on the house, so at least they could approve it to give me this certificate of fitness. Now, when the contractor put the sign wall, I called Mr. Frank and I told him that it was done. Then a few days later, he said he would send Mr. Timothy out to take the pictures, and then we would come to some agreement. When he took the pictures, I didn't know that we had was to put the growth on in, and we know that that had to go in before. So I had some leftover there, and in haste to get it done, I called the contractor to put the grout in or the mortar, so at least we could get this certificate of fitness. So that then the contractor left because he moved on to another job, and then I got a new contractor. When we picked out the tile, it was not my understanding that whatever would go with it, because what and the tile I picked out is beige. So my intent was to get a brown color growth to contrast brown. If I had known that whatever was there in the sample, everything had to be there, the time for put that gray growth in, and I would go in and try the growth that I was looking for to go with the in contrast. Yeah, I'm looking at that stage looking tile, and then I was looking towards the ground to highlight the tile. So if I had known that it was my understanding at the beginning, but honestly, I did not understand that until when it was brought to Mr. Gianfranco. So when he came, that brought to my attention. Now, speaking to the contractor, it appears like that reddish color presented. When they clean it up and it comes back to a brown color. So it blends in with the beige tile. So presented there, it's looking have that looking color. When it is finished, when it's completed and they dress it, then it comes down to that brown looking color. So it was my understanding that the design it has to be, as I explained in in the letter that I sent to the commission. Because if I would have guidelines that was approved. But I think from the beginning, instead of just a hasty rush to go and get something just to get the certificate out.
Ms. Lewis-Berry, does that conclude your testimony, or?
Is there any other question that you might be asked of me? I don't know, but I'm just explaining to the commission that if I had known that if I had known really that the color of the growth had to be the same color that is in the sample, I would have delayed the process and get the correct thing to go with the tag. I did not know, and I apologize. It's not that I want to abide by the rules of the council. It's not that I'm trying to disregard what is I'm instructed to do. My is to not to violate the rules and regulation of the district. My intention is to at least make my home look appreciable. And even that when I am to leave, retire and leave this, it will be the value will still be up, because how it was in its original state, honestly, living in the I see stones dropping the wall. I was embarrassed to see the cracks that was in the stucco. Gianfranco, I explained to him about the leaking roof. I do the other because the leaking roof of the roof, it goes down behind the top the wall. So who said they did not prep the surface to accommodate putting on at that time, and that is the reason why I have this problem. The gutter it leaked behind. The paint lift off, things start drop one by one. I go into my 401k savings to take out all this money to repair. Because but they start deteriorating because on the windows and the wall. Because then when the task that I have, when the guy paid the first contract and then it started, when we look, that was this huge challenge here of trying to get the place up to standard. Yes, my good, and it's only fair for me to try and make sure where I good. But as I said, I am sorry. I must apologize. It wasn't my intention to go against whatever we have discussed. When we went over the age of my house, it's very old because it's from in the 18th century. The house is there. We look at specific features of the house that we go over. And these features are still intact. The only thing I'm trying to ensure is that the house is good, the material the house is up to the standard of the other houses that is around in the community. Honestly, the state where the house was in before, it was depressing. If you look at people with power, even me, myself, as the owner coming in the house, I feel down to see how the house is looking. Up and get the place looking good. So at least the value of the it also brings property. So I'm saying if I know that the mortar that I have to go into the sample, honestly, I waited. I will take the time out for more. I will get the required. Instead of the rush to get the fitness certificate, to try to get it was so long. We were trying to go and then I was trying to get a contractor. If I then I waited and get the correct thing. I do not want the commission to feel as if that I intentionally violated the process that we discussed. That's all I have to say, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Ms. Lewisberry. At this time, I'd like to invite the commissioners to ask the applicant questions about the testimony that was just given. Please raise your hand and the executive director will call you out appropriately. Thank you. This is Chair Tate. Galvanize their questions. I have a question for you. What percentage of the total house is complete right now in terms of the mortar? Like, you know, which sides? How has this reddish grout between the joints right now?
The from the door, I would say roughly that is 40%.
Okay, so this image that we currently have on the screen, does this, how is finished from this picture that we can see?
Picture on 25%, I would say is finished.
Okay, so basically everything leading towards Park Avenue on the other side of the staircase is incomplete, correct?
The side door is not completed.
Okay, so there's a lot, the top in there. I just wanted to make that clear for the commissioners, just so they know that you haven't completely grouted the whole thing. It's a small area that has been grouted at this point, would you say?
It's about 1.75.
Okay,
I want to quote it.
okay, okay, that's good to know. The side, the detached garage is complete, that's out. And then when you return that corner towards the bay window that we can see there, which is kind of the burnished orange color.
Yes, yes, the window to porch. It's to be cleaned up.
Okay, okay, okay. All right, so that's where I am right now for questions. I'm curious to know what the commissioners think about the testimony, or if they want to expound on anything that I asked regarding this regarding.
Mr. Chairman, right now we're at questions. We should make sure that we move a motion before we do discussion.
Okay. Can
Are there any other questions? I don't see any other hands being raised, but if anyone has questions, everyone can jump in and please ask any questions you might have for me, Sperry. Okay, I see no questions, Mr. Chair.
okay? Do we have a statement of resolution for this? A resolution statement of purpose for this application?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we have prepared a resolution number 2105, and I will read the statement of purpose. Resolution number 2105 is the conditional approval of a design review application for the property located at 545-547 Park Avenue, Block 806, Lot 7.
Thank you very much. Do we have a motion for the resolution and a second? Can we confirm a motion and resolution for the resolution statement of purpose?
So, Commissioners, if we move the motion to the floor, there can be some discussion about it, and then it can be brought to, a vote, and the vote could be, in this case, it's a motion for conditional approval. I believe that would mean to approve this mortar that is installed, and if people were agreeable to do that after discussion, then the vote would be yes. If people were not agreeable to it, then the vote would be no. And the discussion would determine, how the rest of the project can proceed, whether it goes with what, is installed, or if the mortar choice has to be redone, et cetera. So, but that's all stuff that gets discussed when it gets on the floor. So if we don't have a motion in a second to get it to the floor, it's hard to know what direction the applicant should go. So I request.
I'll make a motion that we accept the resolution.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that, Mohammed.
Okay. Tim, did you get that?
Confirmed, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Can we get a motion? Oh, I'm sorry. The floor is open for discussion.
Okay, Commissioners, it's time for discussion.
I take the good news is the mortar is not completely wrapped around the house at this moment. Unfortunately, it doesn't match the control sample that was approved and also stated in the conditional approval from last year. So that's an issue. I just wanted to basically put that out there from the beginning. The side of the garage, which is off of Wall Street, you don't really see it. In my opinion, if it came down to repointing and regrouting those areas that are part of the 30% that are complete, I would stop just staying the color that it is. But the street side, the Wall Street side, and the Park Avenue side, they have to match the approved control sample. Are there any additional comments or discussion?
Hey, well, I agree with you. So we could do a conditional approval that the grout that is exposed to the streets should be changed. So we do it as that, and then we could go voting. Would that be the procedure?
That's the way I see it. And it's not a full facade. It's probably, like I said, maybe like 25 to 30%. And, because the big idea that we kind of put out there in the beginning was the stone and the grout was supposed to be kind of monotonous, so that when you looked at the facade, it read as a singular tone. The only variation would be the texture that you would see of the actual veneer. And when you got close to it, then you could see the detail of the grouting and everything like that. But the whole idea was the grout, the joint spacing, and everything was intended to be kind of integral in how you understood that facade. And the way that we see it now is the joint lines, the masonry lines, are pronounced, which is kind of opposite from the intent of the approval for that we gave back last year. And it's not appropriate for the neighborhood and the Eastside Park Historic District. Do we have any other comments, discussion, questions on the floor regarding the application? John Franco, can you change the photo to the Park Avenue side, please? So you can kind of see from this image that the ungrouted, it kind of blends in with the facade. Once the grout is in, that matches kind of that brown hue. A lot of the unit divisions between these masonry units would kind of become one material in a way. And I just think when the the comment, it just goes, it just kind of goes against the nature of what we intended with the previous conditional approval. John Franco, can you also can you turn it to the photo with the sunroom, showing the sunroom with the banding wrapped around? I just want to make another point to the commissioner, the commissioners.
Yeah, this is a little clumsy. Just bear with me to get to the right spot. Yeah, commissioners, I don't see anyone who's interested in making a comment. However, I'm just curious. Can someone just respond, make sure that you can still hear me? And also, if you're trying to speak, you're all on mute. I can see you're all on mute, so you have to remember to remove your mute button if you have a comment. Okay, thank you.
I can hear you too.
Yes, I
Okay,
can
great.
hear you.
So we don't have a connection issue.
This is Joyce Corvo. I have a question. Going to direct it to our chairman, I guess. Are you all questioning, Chairman Tate, the contrast color around the fascia board? Is that something that's also an issue with us at this point?
From our,
Well,
John,
I believe that guidance is needed here with regard to the beginning of the color scheme is clear in terms of how the window openings will be painted and finished, the wrapping of the sills. These are all decisions that I believe were made in the field and were not previously discussed. I think they do need to be discussed, and this is something that should be discussed, at this time. Obviously, the project is proceeding, and this is the reason the application is back again, so that it can be reevaluated by the commission. I believe that Ms. Lewis is requesting that she be allowed to continue with the route that was started. And that's something that has to be considered. So the resolution on the floor is to discuss that and either discuss conditions or to deny it, and then also talk about conditions of denial. Like where do we go from here? Back to the control sample, as the chair said, or take another sample? That's got to be made clear. I'm going to need that guidance in order to help Ms. Lewis continue with the project.
Chair, if I may, this is Kelly. I guess I'm still slightly lost. I'm very familiar with this building. I guess to start with, I worked with the applicant on the porch several years ago when I was working for the city, which they did a great job on. I guess I'm a little lost as to the disconnect and miscommunication on an approval that we already had for a specific watercolor to now what is presented and the work that was being done. I unfortunately, my assessment would not approve, that color throughout the building. I know that, I mean, I understand Mohammed and the chairs, your comments on, you know, potentially the right of way, you know, picking the correct sample and then the rest of the building, you would have, you know, this color that's presented that, you know, the applicant started using. I mean, would that, when it's done, be appropriate as well? Because then, you know, trying to evaluate how that's going to look as the building as a whole. This is just my assessment of how I would evaluate it. I would resort back to the original, you know, conditional approval, and I would then let Tim and Gianfranco assess any further or added work that we did not review before in the field.
Thank you, Vice Chair. I think that's actually a very great point that you made about kind of bringing it back to the executive director. But at this point, I think we should give some direction with our conditional approval on sort of the elephant in the room, which is the mortar color, and then based on our guidelines, you know, we can add in a condition for control sample approvals for various elements of the facade we're not discussing tonight.
I'm interested to hear what other commissioners have to say about the mortar.
This is Commissioner Corbo again. I think I am in agreement more with Commissioner or Vice Chair Rafael at this point regarding the mortar. I cannot see, I understand the compromise of trying to leave the color mortar in one section, but I can't see this beautiful home having one side of the house with a completely different mortar color in the veneer stone. I think it would just ruin the look and the integrity of the home. I just don't think that's although I understand the reason behind it, I don't think that would be the appropriate way to go.
Thanks, Commissioner Corbo. Do we have any other comments?
Well, my only comments it is that I do agree with Commissioner Corbo. This is Maribel Garcia.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Leon? This is Vice Chair Tate. This is I have a question for Gianfranco. So the project is on hold right now in terms of continuing with water. How will we be able to, you know, if we come up with a condition to kind of move forward with the approved control sample, would they be able to move forward with this in theory?
Well, I assume that the owner would want to move ahead immediately. You see the building is staged. I don't believe there was intention to stop the progress of the work, and this was, you know, the work has proceeded to about 75% completion here regarding the intention of the installation of new stone, and now going back and mortaring it, adding color to the other elements obviously was thought about. So I think that this decision is needed so that the work can get back to work and progress immediately, so that it can be done definitely by the conclusion of summer. Everyone, is aware that when contractors are asked to come back in a week or two, so there's a lot of stress with regard to, if they're going to come back. And it definitely is something that I believe that wants to get finished. So that I don't anticipate there would be any need for a delay or desire for a delay. That's why we're here tonight. Ms. Lewis waited for the meeting in order to adjudicate the response to that came up, and based on the specificity of the certificate of appropriateness on the commission's review last year, I did not have the authority in the field to authorize the continuation with the mortar that was being installed. So this is why we're back here tonight. Any other parts of this that the commission does not want to comment on, for example, color of all the window bays, the presence of the fascia boards, etc., then I would request that any resolution that's passed be sure to empower me with the authority to make those decisions in the field, so that there's no further holdup, and that's how we can proceed. I think in the most fair and expeditious manner.
Confirmed. Are there any other questions or comments on the floor from the commissioners regarding what the executive director just said, Vice Chair Corbo?
I will. I'm going to throw in another, I guess, wrench into it. The only other, I guess I'm, conflicted about it. However, the only other alternative, as one of the comments I mentioned before about colors, which would kind of pose right when we look at the building overall, that it would not be sort of, matching or appropriate for the building, would be then to use that light color throughout to be, then agree that we would move on. I mean, that's the only other alternative if we want to keep, as John Franco mentioned, like, the applicant has been waiting and is waiting for us to make this decision.
Well, let me respond to that. Let me be clear. Either way, whatever the decision of the commission, whether it's to remove mortar that's been installed or continue with the mortar that's been installed, I want to be clear that the question was posed, how long of a delay before work starts? And my answer is, I don't believe that the owner wants to delay any further. The work would start, whatever the work that is specified will start immediately. It needs to be specified, however.
Confirmed. In my opinion, I believe we should revert back to the original control sample. As Commissioner Corbel said, this is a beautiful home here, and I think that it would, for this district and for what we approved initially, have that kind of anonymous grout color that matches with the brick veneer would just be a completely different aesthetic than pronouncing the bricks with the contrast of the reddish grout that we see. And I understand, and the applicant was very remorseful, and I completely understand her position on, the delays and things like that. However, the overarching premise of having gotten in the Eastside Park Historic District and throughout the city is to make sure that we uphold these standards for, future generations and applications, and my recommendation to kind of keep the grout on the garage. I completely understand what Vice Chair was saying and followed by Commissioner Corbel about, and I know it's not in our purview to get into the economics of all of this, and that the position that I was taking, where it was like changing all the exposed stuff on the right of way. But I think that ultimately, since it's only plus or minus 30%, and 70% of the house is ungrouted, this is the perfect time to interject and correct it before it's, too late. If this whole building was 90% grouted, it would be a completely different conversation. And, you know, it's not an easy conversation to have, but at the end of the day, to uphold what we've worked so hard over the years to establish, you know, I think we have to, you know, build upon that, you know, legacy of energy that we put into these guidelines by standing by the, you know, the, what we put out there already. So, that's my, position on this.
Excuse me, sir, can I say something?
Yes. Is it appropriate for her to speak, Gianfranco?
I'm sorry, this isn't the time right now. The commission needs to be focused on the motion that's on the floor, the discussion, and have to come to a conclusion. It seems like this is a very hard application for everyone. Right now, may I help by recapping? We had some comments. The resolution, remember, that's on the floor is about conditional approval of the conditions that will be shown here, which were conditions that were unspecified, or different than were specified. So, if you were to list conditions for approval, it probably would be an appropriate time to do that, so we could move to a vote if discussion is going to be over. So, for example, one of the conditions that the commissioners brought up who spoke was the reversal of the mortar that's presently here on all of the mortar that was installed would have to go back to, according to your comments, Mr. Chair, the control sample. Number two, I would like to have a condition regarding the rest of the schematic color for the window openings. Could we continue with this color scheme that you see, or is it something that I will be left to adjudicate the field with the applicant, or should it be white? This is what kind of information I think needs to be in this conditional approval in order for everyone to move to a vote.
Confirmed. So the conditions that I would put on the floor, just to kind of echo what you just delineated, would be we go back to the control sample for the grout color, and we allow the executive director and secretary to decide the alternative components in the field, the fascia, window returns, and make decisions based on your appropriateness, the appropriateness of the material, and that's where I stand on it. Do we have any additional conditions?
No, I don't think so at this time.
I would be interested in hearing some of the comments regarding the color of the fascia with the contrast. Is that I think our director has asked us to give him some direction on how we feel about that when we leave it up to him to work with the applicant.
This is Chair Tate. Thank you for that, Commissioner Corbo. Currently just can you zoom out a little bit, Executive Director? As you can see from this image here, that fascia actually creates a very strong horizontal line on the facade. In my opinion, from an architectural standpoint, I think it needs to kind of be muted. It doesn't have to be wide to match the brick. It just needs to be something that's a little toned down. I think that's a very strong, it's a very bold color that completely separates the masonry from the eave and the gutter line. It doesn't have to be, matched per se, but I think there should be some kind of harmony in the tonal quality of the masonry and the final color of the fascia. I also extend that same vocabulary to the windows. I think the coloring around the window opening should also kind of fall into the same hue and category of color as the rest of the masonry, in my opinion.
I just have one question. So are we voting on what the final decision is gonna be now?
Do you mean for the color of the fascia?
The border and also the fascia board, yeah. So are we voting on that or what are we doing? Because I'm a little lost at this point.
I think the fascia color, we'll leave that up to John Franco to work with Ms. Lewis-Berry in the field. But I think we have to provide some direction for the mortar color, where we go from here. Do we want to go back to the original control sample, which was approved?
I think to set a precedence, and the reason why we do have meetings in the design review, I think we should stick to what was originally approved. We took time as a commission to approve it, and now to ask us to go back and revert what we initially approved in September, that's not fair to the commission because that's what we do. So at this point, my guidance will be to go back to the original mortar that was approved by the commission in September of 2020.
And I'm going to agree with that as well. I mean, again, I think I've said that clearly in the beginning of my statements, and I'm trying to find sort of a way to, I think there's mixed feelings about this, what I gather from the commission, but I think the mortar needs to definitely be what we approved. And in terms of the color and guidance on the color of the, I guess we call this the fascia that we see in this picture here. I mean, we would say to be approved, right, in the field, or, samples would have to be given and the HPC office would approve that color. In the 2020 recommendation, there was no mention of again, I would defer to color in the field. However, just like with the mortar, I would propose that it would have to be a color that would match, right, the trim and the stone. I know, that would mean doing this, all over again. But I think this is a tough application in terms of, work has already been done. And how much do we work with? So, Will, I'm sorry. Back to you for some guidance here.
No, difficult application, and it's an ambitious project by the applicant. I don't want that to, be missed. This is she took a house that she loved and she wanted to kind of build it up and all that, and that's completely understood. But going back to what you said, it's a really difficult process. However, we have to, follow our guidelines. And, to echo what Commissioner Redmond said, a lot of the commission for a few years to establish the guidelines, and each commissioner on the board, presently on the board right now, puts a lot of time into, reviews and making sure we have a quality team that provides guidance for various areas and districts throughout the city. And it's a tough one. It's a tough one. And but I think we have to land where we were approved. This is a good slide. As you can see from, could you go back to that previous slide of the control sample, Gianfranco? Yeah, as you can see from here, it's kind of a very autonomous piece. It's almost like the brick veneer was carved into this whole thing. It's like one continuous material, and that the only visual separation that was supposed to be read on the facade was the texture. The whole idea was it was supposed to be, and this is why we specified in the previous conditional approval that the masonry joints had to be between 1/4 of an inch and 3/8 of an inch, because we wanted to make it tight without having to add additional veneer units to the facade. And I think that's accomplished. I want to applaud the applicant for getting the masonry units on the way that they were approved. It's just that ground color is a very very important aspect of how this thing will read when it's done. And when we initially approved it, this was the intent that we had in mind. And unfortunately, if we get different applications and the applicant proceeds with construction, and then we catch it before it's complete, and we allow the construction to go through, which is based off something that we didn't prove, we're essentially setting a precedent, and that's just not appropriate.
Mr. Chair, if I may, I brought this photo up specifically because I wanted to point something out in discussion of the color choices for window openings and so forth. This is the condition of the building. Let's call this the authentic condition that's appearing on the rear of the building, the side of the building. There is no fascia on this underneath the eave or the gutter line. On the sun porch, there's no fascia underneath the eave or the gutter line, the eaves of the rear of the building or the side of the second story. The fascia that we see is an addition. It is not an appropriate architectural addition to this architecture. I would call for it to be removed. It was not discussed. It was not approved. The window condition in sills, for example, this was also discussed, and we want to talk. I want the commissioners and the applicant to be clear as well about how I would handle this in the field. I think it's important for everyone to know while we're here making this important decision. The architecture of this classical Italianate style building is observable in many different examples throughout the district. There are more than one of these types of buildings, and most of them, or many of them, have remained in their authentic configuration. So we have these as models, and this is really what our guidelines point out for us to do, to look at and make appropriateness decisions based on what the architecture tells us. It's the architectural intent of the historic architecture as opposed to too many aesthetic choices being made by either the owner or by the commission. This is what the guidelines try to put out in terms of the playing field. So part of the architecture for this building is stucco to make this monotonous kind of uniform appearance, and the window openings to be very stark and not very differentiated in regard to color, which means not as much contrast to the comment that I believe will take me. So again, I'm I'm making these statements not based on preference of aesthetics or my personal tastes, but rather on architectural style and what our guidelines come direct us to do. There is actually a guideline in the Eastside Park Historic District that specifically talks about mortar not being a contrasting color, specifically to maintain a more uniform appearance so that the actual mortar, the grout, and the masonry unit actually sort of stay together or are very closely colored as opposed to contrasting. So I wanted to be clear that, as was stated by Commissioner Russell, the color choices that are shown here on the building in this view are completely one color. The way I look at this, everything is white, it looks like to me. Could this use some flair and style with regards to aesthetics? Yes. I think there is some room for that. However, the room to, let's say, define a color scheme for all the window openings and the window units themselves will depend on the color of the window units that you order, and also they would have to be closely matched to the paste color of the rest of the walls of the building. So there could be a slight variation, but not a total contrast. The way that the brown red is playing out, if all of these openings were to be painted that color, it would be a stark contrast in the overall appearance of the building. I would not approve that color. So I want everyone to know that. If it's going to be left to me in the field, this is the direction I would point to go in.
So are you asking for a motion that, for that to be removed, Gianfranco?
Actually, you often provide the explicit condition that some of the smaller elements have figured that out tonight, as well as the part about the mortar. That's what I'm saying. You can reserve it's your authority to do all of this, to point out specific colors and treatments for all the different elements. It appears that the applicant is definitely making choices about these different elements. So the commission could sound off, or you can leave it up to me to do that with the applicant.
Okay,
I want everyone to know.
The homeowner to go back to the original approval of what we approved in September of 2020. I don't know if I need that as a proper motion. That would be my recommendation as a motion. That would be my motion.
If I may, I agree with Commissioner Redmond, but I also want to make sure we add in the conditions, additional conditions on top of that. For example, what Executive Director just said about the fascia, I tend to agree. It's a specific style building, and adding ornamentation that was not approved in the September conditional approval triggers other things that I think that the HPC office can handle internally. So we could, I agree with the conditional approval of reverting back to the original, as Hakima just said. But also, I like to make it clear that Gianfranco can use, to the best of his knowledge, his standard of care and understand interpretation of the guidelines, that we entrust him to, make the decisions about things such as the fascia and the colors around window trims and that kind of thing.
Yeah, so point of order, I'd like to address to the attorney. We have a motion on the floor for conditional approval of the conditions that were installed by the applicant. So the resolution is designed to approve those conditions that we see. Would it be appropriate then, in the direction that the commission is going right now, would it be appropriate to have them take a vote on approval of those conditions, which I believe would fail, and then make a new motion, which would memorialize returning to the previous conditional approval, and add the stipulation that the executive director is empowered to make legal decisions with the applicant with regard to all other aspects of the work. Nikki, you're on mute. If you're speaking, you're on mute. You have to go off mute.
I apologize. Can you repeat that, please?
Okay, so right now there is a motion on the floor for conditional approval of the conditions that were installed by the applicant, okay? The red-brown mortar, for example, and the other elements that we just discussed. So I'm asking if it would be more appropriate to take the vote, and given the conversation I've heard on the floor, that they would like to return back to the original approval with regard to the mortar, and they would like to explicitly have the executive director make decisions in the field, and that would be stated and voted on, and I would have the authority to do so. I don't think that's appropriate for this motion. I think it needs to be another motion. I think this motion has to be voted on, and then another motion made with the other conditions I just mentioned. What do you think of that?
I would agree. I would agree that first we need to resolve and then decide to proceed.
Thank you.
So at this point, are we at roll call for the motion that's already on the table?
Right.
Okay.
Okay, so can we call for a motion for, executive director, can you repeat the motion that's on the floor? Just so that everyone.
The motion on the floor is conditional approval of the conditions that you saw on the slideshow. The conditions that were what brought us here to the meeting tonight, which was the installation of the red-brown grout and the additional colors and fascia boards, etc., that were not previously approved in the last design review. So if you would like to approve those changes, then your vote would be yes. If you don't want to approve those changes, your vote would be no. So if this vote is going to be going to fail, then you're going to make another motion after this to reinstate the mortar color as it was decided before, and to provide the executive director with the empowerment to make legal decisions. That would be a different motion. So first, you have to do roll call on this one.
Confirm. Thank you, John Franco.
You just have to call for the roll call now.
Tim?
Mr. Chairman, I also want to confirm, Mr. Chairman, that we will not need the votes of either alternate tonight because we have a full representation from all of the full commissioners. Commissioner Ahmed.
No.
Commissioner Corbo.
No.
Commissioner Redmond.
No.
Vice Chair Raffel.
No.
Commissioner Simpson.
Commissioner Simpson, I think you're muted.
I'm sorry, I'm done.
Thank you, Commissioner Simpson. Commissioner Walter.
Since
He's recused.
I recused myself, so I guess I abstain. I don't know.
He can't vote. He can't vote. He's
My apologies. Then we will need to ask alternate number one, Commissioner Garcia Leon, to vote, please.
No.
Thank you, Commissioner. Chair Tate.
No.
Motion fails.
So I would like
Okay,
to,
so,
I'm sorry, I would
go ahead,
like
Kima.
to, I'm sorry, I would like to make a motion that the commission accepts the original approval that was in from September of 2020 with the additional, I think, verbiage from Commissioner Tate. I'm not sure, so I would like him to repeat what he wanted to be added. I'm sorry. Commissioner Tate, you had additional suggestions that you wanted the commission to follow?
Will, you're on mute. Are you speaking, Will? You're on mute.
Yes, I was on mute. So,
You're going on and on. Okay.
yeah, so the whole idea was, we'll entrust the HPC office, executive director, John Franco, to, make the, decisions in the field for the components that are not discussed at this meeting. The fascia, the, window colors and trim, that would be, decided on the executive level. That would be a condition to allow the HPC office to make the internal decisions moving forward outside of what the conditional approval is today with the mortar.
Okay. I just need a second.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Secretary Henderson, so we have a motion by Commissioner Redmond and a second by Vice Chair Rafael.
Correct, Mr. Chairman, thank you. Commissioner Garcia-Leon. Commissioner Garcia-Leon.
Sorry, you didn't hear me, yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Ahmed.
We didn't hear you, Commissioner Ahmed.
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Corvo.
Yes.
Commissioner Redmond.
Yes.
Vice Chair Rafael.
Yes.
Commissioner Simpson.
Yes.
Chair Tate.
Yes,
Motion carries.
thank you very much. Ms. Lewis-Berry, John Franco will get in touch with you shortly for next steps. Thank you for coming to our meeting tonight.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to go back to the agenda. I'll stop sharing for a moment. You're going to see a change in the screen, and I'll go back to our agenda.
Yes, we're at administrative items, or I'm sorry, administrative matters.
Yeah, if anyone noticed, WebEx has changed their case a little bit, and there's some difficulty on my side with sharing. Not finding the buttons and the places that I remember them to be from last time we met a couple months ago. So I have to do the stop sharing and resharing in order to make it happen right now until I learn where that button disappeared to. So going back up to item number 4, administrative matters.
Confirmed.
Okay, under administrative matters, we have our annual reorganization meeting tonight, and most of you have been with us for a number of years, so you've been through this process before. Items, A through E are the same as usually appear. They involve the approval of the meeting dates for the upcoming fiscal year, application deadlines, and the appointment of staff resolutions, and the election of our 2 officer positions. So let's start with item A, elections for chair and vice chair. A ballot was circulated by our attorney to everyone, and you were asked to return your vote back to the attorney. And I'll ask our attorney to please tell us about the results of the election.
Yeah. Mostly all voted. And the status quo. William Tate will continue to be the chairman, and Kelly Ruffle will continue as vice chair. Those are the votes of the ballots that you have submitted, commissioners.
Thank you, Nikki, and congratulations to Will and to Kelly.
Thank you very much. And I just want to say thank you to the commissioners for trusting us for the next fiscal year. I look forward to growing and learning more and, building on strengths so we can, build the commission up even further. And congratulations, Kelly. I enjoy working with you in this capacity, and we'll keep going and make it work.
Likewise, Will, and thank you everyone for your confidence in us again.
Yeah,
Congratulations to you both.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Will and Kelly.
Okay, as for item B, meeting dates for fiscal year 2021 and 2022 were circulated prior to the meeting in your pre-meeting packets, and I believe we had a resolution. Tim?
Yes, Gianfranco, which resolution do you want to hear, sir?
For the meeting dates for
The meeting dates, can you present the purpose for the resolution, please, for the meeting dates?
Resolution number 2101 establishes the meeting dates of the Historic Preservation Commission of the City of Paterson for fiscal year 21-22 and instructs the Secretary to comply with the Open Public Meetings Act, New Jersey 10:4-6, to give the public and press advance notice of public meetings held by the Commission.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, you'll have to ask for a motion.
Yes.
So moved.
Can we get a second? So I heard Commissioner Redmond for the motion and Commissioner Muhammad for the second. Is this confirmed?
Yes.
Okay, I think we will do a roll call.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioner Ahmed.
Yes.
Commissioner Corbo.
Yes.
Commissioner Redmond.
Yes.
Commissioner Simpson. Commissioner Simpson?
Commissioner, you're on mute, Commissioner Simpson. Do you want to move on?
Yes, Vice Chair Raffel.
Yes.
Commissioner Tate, or Chair Tate.
Yes,
Motion carries.
thank you very much.
I can now vote, Tim.
Yeah, he's no longer recused from voting.
Forgive me, Commissioner Walter, I apologize. Could you please cast your vote?
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner Walter. Motion carries.
Okay, under item C, we have application deadlines. It's the same process. We have a resolution prepared. It was circulated to you prior to the meeting, the pre-meeting packet. Tim, could you read the notice?
The statement of purpose for Resolution 2102. Resolution 2102 establishes the application deadlines of the Historic Preservation Commission of the City of Paterson for fiscal year 2021-22 and instructs the Secretary to post said dates in the Office of the Division of Historic Preservation on the website of the City of Paterson.
Thank you very much, Tim. Could we get a motion and second for this resolution?
So moved it. I'll second that.
Okay, so we have Commissioner Corbo for the motion and Commissioner Redmond for the second. Can you confirm this?
Yes, confirmed, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, can we have a roll call?
Commissioner Ahmed.
Yes.
Commissioner Corbo.
Yes.
Commissioner Redmond.
Yes.
Commissioner Simpson. Commissioner Walter.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I will take the vote of alternate Commissioner 1 in Commissioner Simpson's absence.
I think Kitty might have been muted, but confirmed for now.
Commissioner Garcia Leon.
Yes.
Thank you. Vice Chair Rafael.
Yes.
Chair Tate.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Under item D, appointment of staff, I believe there are two resolutions prepared. One for the secretary position with Tim Henderson, and one for the executive director, myself. Tim, you have those resolutions prepared. Can you read the statements of purpose, please?
Yes, Director. The first resolution, 2103, is the appointment of Executive Director Archimede, and I will read the statement of purpose. Resolution 2103 appoints Gianfranco Archimede as the Executive Director of the City of Paterson Historic Preservation Commission and authorizes same to undertake preliminary review of design applications.
Thank you, Tim. Can we have a motion and second?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Yeah.
Second.
Okay, so I have Commissioner Redmond for the motion and Commissioner Corbo for the second. Is this confirmed?
Confirmed, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Can we have a roll call, please?
Of course.
Thank you.
Commissioner Garcia Leon.
Yes.
Commissioner Ahmed.
Yes.
Commissioner Corbo.
Yes.
Commissioner Redmond.
Yes.
Commissioner Walter.
Yes.
Vice Chair Rafael.
Yes.
Chair Tate.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, now the next resolution for the secretary, please.
Tim, could you read the resolution for item E?
Yes, it just takes me a minute as I'm shuffling a lot of these around.
No problem. Thank you.
Resolution 2104 appoints Timothy Henderson as the Secretary of the City of Paterson's Historic Preservation Commission.
So
I'll make the
moved.
motion.
Second.
So I hear Commissioner Walter for the motion and Commissioner Redmond for the second. Can we confirm this?
Confirmed, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Can we do a roll call?
Commissioner Garcia Leon.
Yes.
Commissioner Ahmed.
Oh,
Is that a yes, Commissioner? Commissioner Corbo,
Yes.
Commissioner Redmond,
Yes.
Commissioner Walter.
Yes.
I'll come back to Commissioner Ahmed. Yes, thank you, Commissioner. Vice Chair Rafael,
Yes.
Chair Tate.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much. Congratulations, John Franco and Tim, for your continued service, and we look forward to working with you.
Same here. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thanks very much.
Item E, administrative review for 2020-2021. We don't have any formal action to take on this item. This is just a short recap of some of the items that we were able to accomplish last year, and a review of some other business that's unfinished. And this usually have an item that's a forecast for the next fiscal year, and that's not listed here. So first of all, I would like to express our appreciation for all of your efforts to continue to keep the business of the City of Paterson and the Historic Preservation Commission going during the most difficult period that our community has been through in a long, long time. That was, long-standing, ongoing. It went on for, the entirety of the last fiscal year, and to some extent is starting to alleviate a bit now. But it was not easy for all of us to learn how to meet online. It's still difficult and very clumsy to do these meetings online by not seeing each other, not seeing the visual aids, and not seeing our applicants provide their testimony as well. So last year was really a testament to your dedication to this work that we do. And I know for myself, I'd like to again express our gratitude for your perseverance in this endeavor to continue our work. With that said, I also hope that you would be agreeable to meeting in person, starting perhaps in the August meeting. I'm going to request that our attorney email all of you, similar to what we did with our ballot.
So, John, I'm sorry to interrupt. Instead of meeting in August, can we meet September because it is the summer? And some people might be on vacation?
Well, we still have a regularly scheduled meeting, and we must meet. I'm talking about meeting in person. So I think what you're saying is, since people might be away, it would be convenient to continue to meet during August virtually, right?
Yes,
that's what you're saying, right?
Yes,
Okay.
that's correct.
So you're suggesting that we stay virtual for August until September. I have a feeling that most people would probably agree with that. Is this something that I will ask the attorney to poll all of you? And I would ask you to please return your response so that we can make the proper public notice about when we'll be back to meeting. And we also need to let our city council, our city clerk know our meeting dates for this coming year, when we would like to book the council chamber. As you remember, we've changed our meeting venue to the council chambers now. So COVID has really not stopped the development work that has been happening citywide. All of you know that we've done some major reviews last year virtually. And again, it's not the easiest venue to do so, but another part of the administrative review is to remind that although we were under the parameters of emergency meeting protocol for COVID, we still were able to pass some of the most significant reviews for some very large projects, not only in the downtown commercial historic district, but specifically Angel Stadium. There were a variety of different necessary reviews to queue up the various legal agreements and planning board reviews in order to have the project really get off the ground and into construction as it is right now. So we have a lot to be proud of and thankful for with regard to our ongoing health and safety of our commissioners and safeguarding the work that we continue to produce during this very difficult period. We did start some committee business, and we had a change in leadership sort of during the year. We had our previous chair, Joanne Wiley, was leaving town, and we transitioned to a new leadership team, and now we've had another full election to start over again with regard to the whole fiscal year. So that was another part of our challenges last year, was to roll with the punches on our changeover in leadership. We also have this business of committee work that was started and then stopped, and then there was also difficulty with our public meetings and being able to really carry out our programs as usual. Everyone knows that we have a very active public education component of our work, including scheduled tours and our annual awards dinner. And we may be able to talk about resuming some of those activities in this upcoming fiscal year, which I hope that everyone is looking forward to. So there definitely were a lot of changes and some optimism about what is coming, for this new year as we get back closer to what we consider as a normal. But last year was definitely fraught with different challenges, and my main message here is to remind that we've persevered, and I would like to ask our new chair to start afresh, and maybe in our next meeting or before our next meeting, start to discuss with commissioners what the committee assignments will be, and to see if we can get some of the important work we do done in committee, so that when we bring it to the meetings, we'll have a series of reports and be able to accomplish some of the tasks that we've been dormant on over the COVID period.
Confirm.
That concludes my review for 2021.
Okay, thank you very much. And I think that's a perfect segue into item number 5, which is committee reports. Our vice chair to basically, share about our tours and events committee meeting, and then if there are any other committees after, then we'll go into that accordingly. Vice chair.
Thank you, Chair. So we did meet before our June meeting, that was ultimately canceled, and we solidified dates for a few tours and for the annual dinner. So we would like to, I'll start with just the annual dinner, and I think now that we will set up committees, we'll have a stronger report for the next month. For tours and events, the annual dinner will be January 19th at the Brownstone at 6:30 p.m. This is the general start time that we are looking at. And obviously, if agreeable, after this evening, we can work on with the Brownstone to confirm that date and make sure it's available, etc. We were looking at obviously stuff that would be outdoor, sort of more COVID friendly, nothing that would involve a bus for this year. And with that, we are looking at a Great Falls Historic District tour as a whole, and that would be September 25th at 10 a.m. And the 2 days that we're kind of flooding back and forth would be October 9th or the 16th, one of those weekends, for a courthouse sort of that courthouse district tour, downtown tour, for October. So those are the 3 events that we talked about. And of course, committee members Joyce, Mohammed, and Maribel, if you want to jump in, please, please do. But, we kind of figured that out with two different conversations and meetings that we had to kind of at least get something on the map. And we feel like at least to show the commission is working again on public programming. And that concludes my comments.
Well said, Vice Chair. I'd like to invite the other commissioners that are part of the committee to add anything or any thoughts on what Vice Chair just put out. Or if there's any...
I think Commissioner Rafael covered everything, so.
Okay, right. Are there any questions from the commissioners on what Kelly put out there?
I'd like to ask a question with respect to the couple of tours that you mentioned, the Great Falls and downtown and courthouse tours. These are right around the corner, if that's what you're proposing, and we will need dates for them immediately so that we can make the appropriate postings and flyers and so forth. So I believe that it may actually be a little late to wait until the August meeting to get like some of the dates, at least some of the dates for the closer tours that you're proposing. I just wanted you to be aware of that.
No, I think if okay tonight with everyone, we will, what I meant was really for the dinner that I'll start by the August meeting, like we'll get confirmations from the brownstones for the dinner. The committee decided on the dates for September 25th for the Great Falls, it's either October 9th or the 16th, depending on the calendar for the other tour. So we can have the two in your office if everyone agrees on those dates tonight. And we can work on a flyer and such, and I can do that on behalf of the committee.
Okay, thank you. That was exactly what my comments were.
Executive Director, based on what Vice Chair just said about having the commissioners agree upon the dates that we put out there from the committee, is it appropriate to have a motion, or is this kind of one of those things that we don't need a motion for?
Yeah, I believe that what we usually do in case like this is we have the committee report include a motion for the proposed dates for the tours. So I would say the committee chair should propose a motion, and someone from not on the committee should second it, and then do a roll call on that motion.
Confirmed. Vice Chair, could you put a motion on the floor for the dates that we approved? And I would just restate the dates just so that the commissioners are aware.
Sure, not a problem. For the 2021-2022 public events, I'm proposing a motion to approve the three proposed dates. January 19th at 6:30 for the annual HPC Awards Dinner. And that's January 19th, 2022, excuse me. September 25th, 2021 for a Great Falls Historic District Tour at 10 a.m. And I'm just gonna go with it. Saturday, October 16th at 10 a.m. for a Courthouse Historic District Tour.
Second.
So I heard Commissioner Redmond for a second. Who motioned? Who?
Kelly.
Okay, I'm sorry. So can we get a roll call on this? I thought she was asking for the motion, but she actually put the motion. Okay. Can we get a roll call?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Is Commissioner Simpson logged back into the meeting?
I actually don't see him listed here anymore. Maybe he's dropped out.
Okay,
I mean, if he's there, he should sound off.
with your permission, Mr. Chairman, we'll proceed with using the vote of alternate number 1.
Confirmed.
Commissioner Garcia Leon,
Yes.
Commissioner Ahmed,
Yes.
Commissioner Corbo, Commissioner Corbo,
I see she's muted, so I'm not entirely sure if she's responding. Commissioner Corbo?
I'll come back. Commissioner Redmond,
Yes.
Vice Chair Rafael,
Yes.
Commissioner Walter,
Yes.
Commissioner Corbo.
She said yes in the chat.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and Chair Tate.
She's having audio problems, she's saying.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Hey, Will, you're on mute.
Yes. Do we have any additional committee reports outside of the tours and events? If not, I'd like to move on to item number 6 on our agenda, which is old business and correspondence. Executive Director, can you read your report and the activities going on in the historic sites?
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd be happy to.
Thank you.
Very exciting to tell you about the construction update at National Stadium. I was invited to participate in the construction meetings, and so I have a chance to go up there and see the progress that's being made. And I do have some photos I'd like to show. Again, it's just a little bit clumsy with regard to the sharing situation at the moment. So if you would bear with me, I'd like to show you some photos of the stadium construction progress. Share again. And then two. I think I need to bring them up in my directory first before I share. Hold on, please. Okay, here we go. Now I have to go to share and store. Does everyone see that photo now or not?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, you see the photo? Right?
Yes.
Okay, great. This is a panoramic photo that I took kind of early on, actually, during construction. And what you're able to observe here is the demolition of the upper tier of seating. If I can just use my cursor to point out here on the right side behind this big machine, this dump machine is the concession area. So that's actually the back of the stadium where the horseshoe seating bowl of the stadium. And off to this side, in the foreground where the dirt is, was another the highest tier of seating, and that there was on the opposite side as well. There was another mimicked section of seating. Well, it was, if you recall, it was planned that those two sections be demolished, and then they will be excavating here on the open areas to install footings and foundations to build the restrooms sort of below grade, and then on top of those restrooms they'll put those seatings. They reconstruct those seating areas. So that's what you can observe here. They started right immediately down in the seating bowl area with there's kind of a large pile of debris here of actually cutting out concrete that is spalled and broken that is going to be replaced. The entire retaining wall along the western side of the stadium actually collapsing, has been removed, and a new taller wall will be installed in its place with earth pushed against it. That would be approximately at the site of the parking deck on the other side. Also, you can see on the left side of this photo, all of these piles of earth are the beginnings of earth movement on the adjacent property where the housing building and the parking deck will be constructed. So all of that construction is happening at the same time, which I think is pretty remarkable. I'm just going through various views here. This is the same site visit that I just described to you, and here are some closer views of the same activities.
Executive Director, this is the chair. Might I interject?
Sure, of course.
This is exciting. This is exciting. I know we've been on this for a while, and it's just great to see that they're actually, moving forward with a lot of this stuff. And this is awesome. This is great.
Yeah, these are the first photos that I'm sharing with all of you in a public meeting about the construction going on at the stadium. And absolutely, the commission has been a part of this project since going way back to 2004, 2009, when things really started to pick up the pace. 2014 was our first design review, and on and on. We've had a lot of interaction with this project for more than a decade now. This is a good photo to show an example of how spalled concrete is being treated. So it's almost being sort of surgically removed. As you can see, the top of this wall was all spalled, but the whole wall is not being removed, and also the bottom of the wall. They're actually cut out and carefully demolished. The existing rebar that is embedded into the larger mass of the existing wall, even here in the area between where the whole section of concrete was removed, you can see the rebar kind of remains. I believe that if the rebar is in decent condition, it'll be treated and it'll remain in place when they re-pour what was removed. So they'll actually build forms and form up around these areas and re-pour the concrete to fill in all these spaces. I always say it's very similar to going to the dentist when you're getting, work done on your teeth, and they take out the bad material and then they install, new strong material. And then you just sort of move on. Here is there's a lot of handwork during demolition, and you can see they're actually using jackhammers to remove all of the stairs. I've now witnessed that all of the stairs are removed. All of the stairs in the seating bowl will be replaced, reformed so that they're code compliant. And these conditions on all the horizontal walking surfaces also are being demolished so that there was a hydroblasting. They removed all of the lead paint, and they collected all of the water that contained the lead flakes. They kind of capture it all and contain it into barrels, and then they dispose of it properly, since it is considered a heavy metal waste stream. So here's the entire seating bowl that's been removed of its paint. And just here, these are just piles of debris. Piles of debris again. And the crusher, they're actually crushing this debris on site to make it easier to, remove. And you can see the massive amount of material that's being removed. Those are all the railings, actually, back here. These are all the railings that are throughout the stadium that are removed and will be restored and then put back in their original places. All of these flagpoles have also been removed also from the site, taken off site. They will be repaired and stripped of paint and metallized if needed, and then eventually reinstalled. All hardware that needs to be replaced will be trucks and videos will also be fixed so that they'll be ready to fly flags again at the end. This is a photo of where the concrete block non-historic utility building stood. They demolished it. It's gone. This is the view from Mariel and Kramer Park now. You really can see the stadium in a way that you haven't seen it before. From Mariel and Kramer Park because that building was in the way. The entire seating bowl in this photo has had all of its paint removed. This will all be recoated with a very specific and specialized coating to waterproof it and to make it kind of textured so people can walk on it in a safe way. And of course, if you recall, the original bleacher seating will be maintained. So all of the seating, concrete seating, will have the bleachers returned basically at the end. So this is what we call limited demolition phase. When we get into the construction phase, is when they start adding elements, back to the stadium. Here's a second panorama. And again, here's the site of the utility building. This is the construction trailer, and Mariel and Kramer is in the background. Just a few more photos. This is the side view of the bleachers, and that's that. Are there any questions about Angel Stadium?
It's almost a version of the Coliseum in a way. Did anybody report back to you with any questions about the existing conditions on the site, or is everything kind of underway and makes sense?
Yes, everything is going according to the detailed planning that they did pre-construction. They definitely did a lot of preliminary engineering to make sure that the places that needed to be monitored with regard to concrete durability and falling and replacements were all included during the bidding process. The important part right now environmentally is the hazardous materials or the lead paint removals. And so far, I believe everything is really going according to plan as expected. There were some conditions that were surprising and I think a bit more precarious than they expected in the bleacher area, meaning the part of the stadium that has the locker rooms underneath where the seating is actually hollow underneath. It's all cast in place concrete. There was some structural areas that had some really bad cracking and falling. That was worse than I think they at first expected once before they took all the paint off.
John
conditions are more revealed.
I don't mean to interject, but I don't know if it's your intent, but it's a gray screen right now in terms of the photo, or was the presentation over?
Yeah, no, I'm going to have to change to another screen, another shared screen for the other photos I'd like to show you. So bear with me again while I pick those up. I do have, I did have that open, but again, this new system is a little clumsier than I remember. I used to be able to share things on the fly, and now I have to go through this other process. So I have to actually go to gray screen and then come up. I think it's just probably something that I've missed on this new format. So I'm going to get familiar with that for next time. I'm ready to share my next screen with you now. Okay. Okay, can you see the building?
Yes.
Okay, so this is 8-14 Morris Street. This is the school rehabilitation in the rear portion of the granite mill. This side of it is really nothing new. We just want to show you some of the ongoing photos of the new gymnasium building. We had talked about brickwork on the facade. You can see the brickwork is now installed. This is a concrete tilt-up construction. These window bays will get authentic windows that are taken from the demolished building. They're being restored currently, and there'll be it's kind of a pin lettering here that denotes the name of the school and the gym on the basically the facade or the public-facing side of the building. This photos are just detailing this electrical cabinet that was planned to be right in front of the facade of the gym, which was not something we initially approved, so I'm sort of dealing with that now. The side of the building is a monotonous concrete finish, painted concrete finish. And this is the area where the new gym that we approved, the second gym, kind of nestled in the corner of the historic L shape of this building, is going to go. There were a few ancillary buildings in here that were demolished, and now the area is clear. This is like sort of the end of the demolition. I wanted to show you that this project is also continues to be ongoing. This will now house 2 schools over the whole overall complex. Lou Costello Park, if you remember doing the intense design review for this park, a lot of the site work is now has been underway. There's a lot of intense concrete pouring, large steps that you see around the kind of wraps around the corner view of the Ellison and Chauncey Street view, and just some various photos to show the installation process. We've been down helping to monitor the quality control of the concrete pours, and we have been able to get board forming on the various surfaces of the concrete, so it's got sort of a nice wood grain texture embedded into it. The statue of Lou Costello is here and enclosed in this protective plywood box. That's what we did with Alexander Hamilton at Overlook Park. You can also see the grading is starting here to flatten out this area. This is going to be a mixture of pavers and grass. And so there's sort of a handicap ramp that comes up. This is the corner of it. Looking back into downtown, you can see City Hall Tower. We're looking toward the downtown here. Another view of the handicap ramp, and these photos are of this is the corner of Mill and Market, and down, if you recall, a while ago we approved a new building for Oasis, or in addition to the new building at Oasis, and they've been under construction for a while now, and it's been moving along steadily. So here is the brick facade of the building with the various window placements that we actually reviewed this main building a while ago. They added an additional floor, which you can see here is about complete. And the side addition I just showed you there. And this is the other, this is the original side of the building from the original construction. So that concludes some of the ongoing construction projects in Great Falls. And again, despite the COVID challenges, we've been able to approve and now see the implementation of those private projects as well as, Hinchcliffe Stadium. So I'm going to turn now back to the agenda and see if there's just a couple of other topics to look at. Can you see the agenda now?
The agenda doesn't appear on the screen, but I don't think you covered the Danforth Memorial Library.
Yes, Danforth Memorial Library. I wanted to mention, as you recall, the city has received a state library bond act grant award, grant for a construction project at the Exit Library. This is very exciting because we haven't done major work to the library in a long, long time. And the library has really been suffering from water infiltration through its envelope, specifically along the roof and cornice line. Water's been sort of getting into the top and running downwards, both on the interior and, it causing issues on the exterior as well. So the architects have now been awarded and are kicked off and are starting to work to define the construction documents to spend spend that grant money. So we're looking forward to having the plans come to the commission for review. I think it's probably 3 months from now is probably most likely that we'll see the plans and development enough to constitute, a design review. I just wanted to tell you that it's also exciting news because we really needed the opportunity to take care of this important historic building, which was a gift to the city of Paterson in 1904. That concludes my director's report for this month. Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Thank you, Executive Director. That was very comprehensive, and thank you for sharing all of these updates. Before we move to the public portion, I'd like to open it up for the commissioners to ask any questions regarding any of the projects that were just displayed during the report.
I don't have a question for the report, just an update that I know Gianfranco worked with us on and supported, and also the commission supported, is that the expansion of the Lambert Castle, I'm going to call it a historic district, but National Register and State Register nomination was heard last week at the New Jersey Sites Council, and it was approved for listing on the State Register. So now we'll be moving forward to Washington for review for the National Register. So I just wanted to give everyone an update on that. So thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair. That's exciting news.
Congratulations.
Yep, good work on that, by the way. So it's good to see that there's a lot of good stuff happening right now. Do we have any additional comments or questions for Gianfranco or Vice Chair regarding the previous mentions application or project? I think I see Nakima is.
No, I don't have any comment. I'm just listening.
Oh, perfect. Okay, so if that's we don't have any comments or questions, then I'd like to move forward to item number 8 on the agenda, which is the public portion.
I'd like to make a motion to open up for public portion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, so we have Commissioner Redmond for the motion, and then we have Commissioner Garcia Leon for the second. Can you confirm that, Secretary?
Confirmed, Mr. Chairman.
Can we have a roll call?
Commissioner Garcia Leon.
Yes.
Commissioner Ahmed. Commissioner Corbo.
Yes.
Commissioner Redmond.
Yes.
Vice Chair Raffel.
Yes.
Commissioner Walter.
Yes.
Chair Tate.
Yes.
And I just want to confirm that Commissioner Ahmed was an affirmative.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner. Motion carries, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. So the time is currently 8:56 p.m. Could you please provide the number to the public to call in? We're going to leave it open for about 4 minutes.
Those who would like to participate in the public portion may call in at 973-321-1579 and enter meeting ID 711-680-001. Again, those who would like to participate in the public portion may call in at 973-321-1579 and enter meeting ID 711-680-001.
Thank you, Secretary. The time is now 8:57. So 4 minutes from now, we will close the public portion.
Commissioners, while we're waiting, I'd like to mention that, I mentioned this in the pre-meeting packet, I'm hoping to get your participation in a special HPC meeting for a planning review regarding the property we know as Temple Emmanuel on the corner of 33rd Street and Broadway. There is a planning application that's scheduled for a planning board hearing on Thursday next week, which is like the end of the month, like the 29th. And as you know, since the Temple is a historic building and in the East Side Park Historic District, we have purview over the planning review. And the 26th would be just a couple of days before the scheduled planning board hearing, and I was hoping that you would be available for starting at 7 p.m. I'm going to send out another email. As some of you have already noted that you will be available, I'll send out another email reminder and ask for your response just to make sure that we have a quorum for that meeting. The proposed reuse of the site is for a school, and I believe it's already in in reuse for the same purpose, but it's a new school entity and a new ownership. So part of the proposal for the reuse is also involved with the purchase of the building. Actually, it's not just a tenancy. So we'll give you those details as I get them from the applicant. I'll roll them out to you. But first, if you can respond as soon as possible with your availability, so I'm sure that I have a quorum. Okay, thank you. I'm waiting now to hear from our IT department with regard to any public callers.
Executive Director, the time is now 9:01 p.m. Can you confirm with IT if we have any callers from the public?
Mr. Chairman, I can confirm that there are no callers.
I'll make a motion to close public portion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, Tim, did you get that? So we have, Commissioner Redmond for the motion, and I believe that was, Commissioner Corbo with the second. Can we confirm this?
You're on mute, Tim. He's still on mute. Tim, are you there?
Yes, sorry.
Tim?
Tim, are you there? Okay, I can do the roll call, Mr. Chairman, since maybe he's having some connection problems.
Confirmed.
So the motion is to close the public portion.
That's correct.
Commissioner Corbo,
Yes.
Commissioner Mohammed Ahmed,
Yes.
Commissioner Redmond,
Yes.
Commissioner Walter,
Yes.
Commissioner Garcia Leon,
Yes.
Vice Chair Rafael,
Yes.
Chair Kate.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, the motion carries. Public portion is now closed.
Thank you very much. Before we close, I just want to say thank you to everyone who, again, just want to echo what we said earlier about believing in us to move into the next fiscal year as your chair and vice chair. And I hope everyone has a great night. And thank you to all who tuned in to watch this from the public.
Congratulations, Speaker and Vice Chair, and have a good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Congrats.
Good night. Thank you.